Hello, hello, welcome once again to the Chatterbox with yours truly, King Jacob. And we have another star-studded episode. And this will be the last podcast of the year. And so I am ending it with the Honorable Kim Wilson. But before we get in tune with who she is and what she's accomplished, we'll go to a quick commercial break first, and then we'll be back with none other than Miss Kimberly Wilson.
I can't go another day with this on my mind. And I think it's time for a discussion. Why you so hard? Show me that you love me, baby. Why you so hard? Show me that you care. So many days, so many nights, so many tears. I had to cry. Told me you love me. That was a lie. Loving you was a mistake. 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 Play me like guitar, baby. You only love me for pretend. Play with my emotion, girl. And I don't wanna be your friend. Play me like guitar, baby. Love I have for you is real, yeah. While you're playing with my heart, babe. Let me tell you how I feel, baby. So many days, so many nights, so many tears. I had to cry. Told me you love me. That was a lie. Loving you was a mistake. Loving you was a mistake.
All right, we're back. That was Loving You Was a Mistake by Mr. Tony Amari out of Raleigh, North Carolina. That poor man singing his heart out, but, he's following his purpose. So we're back once again with another edition of the Chatterbox, where I have the Honorable Kim Wilson in the building with me tonight. How are you?
Thank you so very much for allowing me to be here. I'm good. What about you?
Doing well. And so before we get into your story, just for people to understand who you are, I just want to ask, who is Kim Wilson?
Kim Wilson is a lady who was born and raised in Hopkins, South Carolina, born into poverty, raised by her grandmother, both parents absent, grew up using a bathroom on a pail. And because I used that bathroom on the pail, I experienced a lot of mental issues that allowed physical issues to follow, which made me feel unworthy, unwanted, disconnected, isolated. And in turn, it made me feel disconnected from the world. So I didn't know who I was or where I needed to go or who I needed to be.
Oh, wow. My. This is interesting. This is very interesting. And what's going to be the most interesting part is, how did your spiritual growth allow you to become who you are? So we're going to get into all of that. Now, so as I'm reading, looking at articles, looking at, Miss Desiree Benson own who her client is and stand on top of that who her client is. And I want to give a shout out to her for definitely connecting with me and allowing me to definitely have you on the platform. And shout out to her for all that she does and all the people that she inspires as well.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate her. Desiree Benson is the best.
No doubt. So with that being said, a six-figure healthcare agency. Wow. So let's talk about that journey first.
Okay. So I started my home health company back in 2006. But of course, I became a nurse first because they wouldn't allow me to run the company without being a nurse. So in that company, I serve veterans, children, and just people who wants to be in their home, who doesn't want to go into facilities and stuff like that. So in my journey in the home care company to make it figures, I've always stayed consistent, persistent. I've always treated my clients like they were my own parents or my own loved ones. And in doing so, in being attentive to them and their needs, they, referred me to other people, and they gave me props and just kept, sending me more and more people and thanking me for just being who I really was, my true authentic self.
So you have to have a passion for people, a passion. You have to be compassionate about people, be compassionate about, families, children, your church community, your just your community overall. And so where did that compassion come from?
I think well, I know for a fact that compassion came from my grandmother, but for some reason at the age around about maybe 5 or so, I've always known that I wanted to be a nurse. I always knew that my life was going to be with serving and taking care of other people. So I would definitely say that kind, compassionate heart definitely comes from my grandmother, because everybody in the neighborhood she invited into her home and treated like they were hers.
Yes, yes. And I can say that village, you know, when we talk about grandmothers and grandparents, and especially being from the South,
Mhm.
which I know my grandmother fed the whole neighborhood.
Yes.
Every child was her child. And
Mhm.
so, with that being said, with you seeing those jewels that your grandmother gave you from the time you was little until the time you reach your adulthood, um, what are some of those jewels that you share with the youth in the younger community as well as your church community?
Okay, basically, the main thing is just to always be your true, authentic self, because you can't go wrong with that. Always treat people the way you wish to be treated. Now, of course, treating people the way you wish to be treated doesn't mean let somebody run over you, because you also have to take care of yourself. But just to basically treat people the way you wish to be treated and always be your true, authentic self, and you can't go wrong.
Okay, okay. So let's talk about the business structure, the marketing structure, and how you got the company started, how you got it up and running, and how you became a household name in the healthcare industry. If you can chime in on that, if you would.
Okay, so I first started in the healthcare industry when I first graduated high school. So I first became a nursing assistant, then a medical assistant after that. So my journey with that is I worked in a doctor's office as a medical assistant probably about 6 years or so. And then when I noticed that I was doing the exact same thing that the nurses were doing, but just on a higher pay, I was like, oh no, I got to do something. So that day, back in probably about 2003, I decided go ahead and do what I've always wanted to do, become that nurse. And that way it gave me like more hands on with the patients and the doctors. And I was, was able to give more advice to the patients and stuff, and be, just my more a true, authentic, loving self versus being a medical assistant who had limited access to patients.
Okay, okay, okay. So becoming a nurse and doing that schooling, um, for those who are inspiring to become, pediatrician nurses, ER nurses, traveling nurses, inspiring to work with the respiratory field, and what are the journeys, the highs and lows that you've experienced, and how have you overcome them, and how would you, tell people to keep going?
Okay, so during my journey, the highs and lows that I experienced, of course, was sometimes not having gas money to get to school, sometimes not having money to buy lunch, having to catch rides with other people who were also in my journey, and they themselves not having the means and stuff to get to school. So we came together sometimes as a group, and one would drive one week, one would drive the other. So I would say, no matter how hard things get, no matter how tough things look, never give up, because there's always a way if it's a will. I took, like, sometimes I would have money, let's say for the movies or something sometime, and that was not that often. But I prioritized what was more important to me, whether I wanted to look at that movie or whether I needed that money to get to school. So it's going to be
Mhm.
a lot of sacrificing on your part in order to become that doctor or that nurse, and the studying and just the consistent going from class to class and staying up late at night and just taking, like, I had to drive like an hour away from home sometimes at night. So just being committed and dedicated will get you through it.
Okay, okay. So priors is one thing, but the studying is a whole nother beast. And
Mm-hmm.
so I often hear a lot of, people who are nurses now or that's becoming nurses. And, they always talking about the studying and they always talk about the clinicals and how the clinicals can be difficult a lot of times, especially when you're working up under people and, they don't have patience. And
Mhm.
so how did you overcome that situation?
Okay, well, with that situation, basically, it goes back again to what I was taught, to understand that anything you're going through at the moment to get where you need to be is just temporary. So, like you
Mhm.
said, a lot of people did get under my skin, but I understood that I wasn't going to be with those people always. They were just in the moment, and they were not going to be in the moment, which would be my moment later on.
Right, right. Okay. So we're gonna rewind back a little bit. And what's interesting to me is how you overcame. So growing up in poverty and seeing a lot of things you saw that children really shouldn't see,
Mhm.
and it affecting you mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. How was you able to pull through, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to get to where you're at today?
I have to say, first thing was God, because without Him, there would, be no me. So even as a little child, I talked to Him a lot, because we were taught who He was and what He could do, and He was our Father and stuff. So basically, my whole life, even though I had like family and stuff around me, I still felt like He was my only means. So I constantly prayed and constantly asked Him to guide me and to lead me to where He wanted me to be and to place me where He wanted me to be, because I wanted to serve Him as I know I should. Even as a little child, I knew that. I don't know how, but I did.
Mm-mm. So, with that being said, did this ever affect you on your mental health, and your emotional health? And with that being said, I think it's so important that we kind of own that and really talk about it and share it with people about how it has affected you and how you overcame that. So from a mental standpoint of view and the emotional standpoint of view, like you said, you was raised by your grandparents. And sometimes a child be like, you know, why did my grandparents have to raise me? And, they have questions.
Mhm.
And so with you going through that, how did you get through that? And did you ever get those questions answered?
Well, my grandmother always told me, I always knew who my mom was, and I knew that my mom had me at 14. But to answer the question on how I got through that stuff, the love of my grandmother kind of took the place of the mom not being there. So I
Hmm.
still felt the love and the compassion and all that stuff. And going back to like the mental part, I did experience a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. And in those places, I just felt like disconnected from the world. It was like almost like an alter ego type thing. Like I was here, but it felt like my soul was here, and I had to figure out how to bring this part of me back in here to make me whole again. And it was tough. So I just kind of like once again went back to the spiritual part of me, prayed, and just kind of accepted things for who what they were and who they were, but also at the same time taking on adult responsibilities because I felt like I had to, because I felt like there was no other way, because there was no mom and no dad. So yes, I didn't, I lost sleep a lot sometimes as a child. Of course, everybody knows when you're growing up a certain way and kids figure out there's no parent. Sometimes you get bullied and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I went through a lot of, you know, being at home and being mentally disturbed and then going to school and sometimes experiencing the same thing. So just a lot of praying and just dealing with myself.
You know, they have a lot of programs nowadays for bullying, for mental health, for anxiety, for depression, from emotional depression, from from the absentee of a father, absentee of a mother, and even from the toxic environment, that can cause you to really be in a section of where you don't want to deal with people.
Mhm.
And so now kids have a lot that they can turn to now. But, years ago, 20 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, kids didn't have that. And so for you to be able to do that and be strong and battle mental health and anxiety and depression, that's a remarkable story in itself.
Thank you.
And so the reason I'm asking you this because I see a lot of it going on nowadays, but a lot of people don't know it's been going on way back when as well.
Yes.
And people would always say suck it up and go.
No,
But
and I think what helped me also is being outdoors, because with the nature, just the peacefulness of being out there and then being able to look at the water and listen to the birds and just kind of, I used to look like across the trees when I was a little girl and just
mhm.
imagine what was on the other side over there. And I always knew and felt like it was something greater over there. And that gave me hope. And that's what kind of helped me too.
Okay. So I'm glad that you got through that, and that's a remarkable backstory as well. And so, you know, um, stepping into
Mhm,
your purpose, or should we say, stepping into my purpose.
mhm.
Tell me about this whole campaign and why is this campaign so important to you? And as I look around, this campaign is inspiring a whole lot of other people that you don't know personally, but they are connected to you and your campaign. So if you can go
Oh,
into that campaign, and because I know this stepping into my purpose, it allows you to align your testimony so the public eye can understand that you don't have to give up. It's not over.
okay.
You know, you have to own your journey, and you have to step on your faith,
Mhm.
step into your faith. Know that you can prevail, and you can do something positive. So tell me about this campaign. This campaign is what I say, man. It's bad. It's boy.
Oh,
Listen,
thank you.
listen.
So,
This campaign is something serious, especially with us being in the pandemic and being shut down, and it kind of challenged people that that you can own entrepreneurship,
mhm,
and a lot of people never thought that they can be an entrepreneur, but
mhm.
with this pandemic, and I'm seeing a lot of people who obtain LLC, sole proprietorships, incorporated the company, even putting their LLC and their sole proprietorship inside of a trust, and that puts you in a whole different tax bracket anyway.
So stepping to purpose, basically it leads, stretches, and challenges the woman or man who is stuck in fear. It brings awareness to self-confidence, which leads to self-improvement. And to answer the rest of your questions, basically anybody can do anything that they want to do. I created a four-step process called ACTS. And in that process and in that product, I talk about every single thing I did to get where I'm at. And those steps are called ACTS. It's called X. And in that first step, which is the A, you have to acknowledge that you may not be where you want to be at the moment. And then with the C, you have to carefully, objectively look at yourself, where you are, what you're feeling, all those emotions and stuff. And then T, you have to take responsibility for where you are, whether you move forward, backwards, or whether you just stay in that spot. You got to take responsibility for what it is you do in order to move where you're trying to go. And then the last thing is set goals. And when you set those goals, you have to walk into those goals every single day intentionally, whether it's read a book, watch a video, go to a church, or either, just go, if you want to be a doctor or a nurse, just get under somebody who's done what you're trying to do. And most of the time, people will be glad to help.
Okay. Well, since you just broke down the acronym, we're going to talk about the whole acronym, and we're going to let you, you know, give us a brief description of all the letters and why there's importance for all the letters.
All
So
right.
you have the floor.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so with A, I'm going to use my own personal experiences. With A, I had to acknowledge that in my childhood that there were no parents. I had to acknowledge that I had to use the bathroom on a pail. I had to acknowledge that my grandmother was my sole parent. And I had to acknowledge that I had some mental stuff going on around me that wasn't clear to me. And with the C, I had to carefully, objectively look at myself overall because a lot of times I felt unattractive growing up because with your mental, a lot of people don't understand, but your mental, your physical appearance starts to look not so good to you. So I just had to tell myself that I was worthy and to carefully look at me, not the physical appearance, not what my mind was telling me, but to carefully look at me and who I knew I was. And then when it came to taking the responsibility, I made up in my mind, sure, things were what they were, but did you have to accept what they were? Did you have to continue to live what they were? And no, I didn't. I knew I had a choice. So I chose to walk in purpose, to do what God intended for me to do, which was take care of people, that love, that passion, that, just wanting everybody to be good and wanting everybody to succeed. And then when it came to the setting goals, I knew that I had to do whatever it took. So as a young girl, I think I started working at 15. I started going on the side of the road, back then it was safer. So I would stand on the side, catch work with whoever I could catch, rise with, because I had an end goal. And that end goal was to become a very successful nurse, to be my own entrepreneur, to not struggle, to not have my kids or my daughter to struggle. I did not want anybody that came from me to feel that same struggle, that same pain. And all of that passion combined together, that's what allowed me to get where I am today. And me being where I am today, I want to help millions and millions of people to understand that they can overcome too, if they are willing.
Whew. It's a lot. That's a lot. But I'm glad that you overcame. You stood on top of your goals and you owned it. So now I hear a lot of people say, man, Jacob, man, I have so much I want to say. I wish I could do an ebook. And so what are the necessary steps of creating an ebook, and how was you successful at doing this?
Well, the necessary steps is, once again, acknowledge where you are and just take the process. What I did was just write stuff down every single day, whatever downloads that God gave me, and just kind of look back at my life. And like I said, and look at the steps that I took and the things that I did and just brought them to fruition, put them on paper and say, wow, if I can just, get this ebook out there and get it in the order and make it make sense. Because a lot of times people don't know how to put on paper what's up here. So I understood how to do that from like a lot of my nursing experience and stuff. So that's what honestly helped me. The documentation and the writing the nursing notes and stuff like that, that really helped me a lot. But for anybody that wants to do an ebook or anything, you can do it. You just have to sit down, write what's up here, because we're not going to know what's up here if you don't tell us. So you got to be able to deliver is the main thing.
Okay. So, so with the ebook, and with you being a prolific writer, a creative writer, and I want to say, a public figure, how has getting with Desiree Benson catapulted who you are and letting people understand that you're coming?
Oh yeah,
And
she's worked wonders. Yeah, she's done a great job. She's got me out there, I think, as a matter of fact, I know 10 times faster than me just trying to do it myself. And I'm so grateful to her. And anybody that doesn't have a publicist, I highly recommend Desiree L. Benson.
okay. I say I've been looking at the articles, the medium, and yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, look at her, and then just knowing, but you being from a small town in South Carolina, a lot of people think because they're from small towns that they can't be noticed or get noticed.
Mhm.
Which I tell people that's the farthest thing I ever heard from the truth,
Absolutely.
because people from thousands and miles around are watching. That's the perks of having social media.
Amen.
And so, with that being said, how many people definitely engage with you or really want to understand who you are? So, I'm pretty sure because I'm one of those people. Because I told Desiree, I was like, listen, is there any way that I can get Miss Kim Wilson on my platform? I was like, she amazing.
Oh,
She got
thank
something to
you.
say, need to be heard. So
Thank
so
you.
I saw it. I know several other people see it as well.
I'm praying for that.
Oh, it's happening. It's happening.
Thank you.
It,
I
it,
appreciate
it,
that.
it's most definitely happening. And so as you go further and you put out this book, and I know that you're a public speaker as well, correct?
Yes.
So what are your speaking engagements in like? Do you speak from the church community to the youth community, to people who are in business entrepreneurship, or to people who are in corporate America? So what are your speaking levels like?
So all of the above. I definitely want to help the youth because they really need a lot of help now. I definitely talk to people who are entrepreneurs, people who are trying to become entrepreneurs, and definitely the corporate world.
Okay. And so, um, a memorable moment for you during a speaking engagement. Was you amazed at how many people you reach during that speaking engagement?
Actually, I was. I knew what my goal was, but just like anything else you do, you go out and you do your best, but certain things you're just not expecting. I was hoping for it and praying for it because, like I said, I want to reach people. I want people to see themselves for who they really are. So yes, when I went out and I started noticing that people were noticing me. I was a little surprised, but it made me happy because it made me see that I was actually doing what God put me here to do, and that's to help His people to self improve.
Okay. So with that being said, how many different places have you spoken at, as far as different states and things of that nature?
Actually, I've done Tampa, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, probably a few times. I've actually traveled to Canada, so I am an international speaker. And I've gone to, I think, maybe North Carolina a few times and here in South Carolina.
Hmm. My. So how was that Canada experience for you? And
Oh,
what was the speaking engagement, as far as, was it for the youth? Was it for entrepreneurship? And how did that international presence feel to you?
the international presence felt great. And to answer your question, it was for women probably about my age, probably in their maybe age 30, maybe to age 50 or so. And it was basically just talking about purpose and self improvement and the things it takes to get where you want to be, like the dedication, the persistency, and the consistency. So just a lot on purpose and just self improvement. And
Okay,
those women in Canada were great. I loved it, and I can't wait to go back.
okay. So, you know, um, I see my sisters do a lot of events on women empowerment, and that's the way I hope you listening. I stand around and I said, man, so we have these great women with these great careers. With you are a serial entrepreneur, so um, I'm proposing. you know, that and the males, I hope you're listening. So coming from a female's perspective who would do a workshop for male empowerment, I think that would be phenomenal.
Thank you. And that's one of my goals.
Cause from a different level of, you know, a female standing on top of like what are you males doing? Like, why don't y'all have any workshops about empowerment and stuff? And for a person like you that's successful, a serial entrepreneur, who owns a six-figure business and who does speaking engagements internationally, I think that can open up a lot of our eyes. And so I think that it will definitely be something different. And I can't wait till you put it out there because I'll definitely be in attendance. So,
It's
I
coming.
just
It's coming.
I just want, yeah.
2023.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. So with you being in the whole Hopkins area, Columbia, South Carolina area, the metro as we call it, when people see you that you grew up with,
Mhm.
or people see that you used to work with, maybe at the hospital, at the doctor's office, what are their response to you, and what type of how are those conversations?
Well, some of the people were all they would say, "Well, I knew you always had it in you," and then some would say, "Are you that shy little girl that I went to school with, or the shy little girl that rode on the bus and sat in the corner and didn't say anything?" And then a lot of people are supportive, but then you have some that just sits back and maybe just watch, and you don't know what
Mhm.
they're thinking. But me, I'm wise enough to know that if you're watching, it's something you might not be ready to admit it yet, but
Mhm.
it's something that I'm saying or something that I'm doing that's drawing you. So it has to be something about you that connects you to me,
Mhm.
even though you don't want to believe it. But what people did know about the little girl that appeared shy and in the corner, she really wasn't shy and in the corner. Her body was, but her actual spirit wasn't, because that little girl was just ready to jump out and show everybody who she was and what she was. But goes back to the depression and anxiety and stuff. She didn't know how that held her for a little bit. But the person you see
Mhm.
today is that little girl that was back there in the 80s and the 70s. And she's so glad to be a part of this woman that you see today.
Okay, there. Okay. So stepping into my purpose. So it's two things I want to talk about: mind elevation and new destinations. And so, with the whole stepping into my purpose campaign, I want you to speak on that mind elevation and the new destination. Like,
Okay.
give me some structure on it. Break it down so people can understand how this follows into them finding their purpose.
Okay. First thing is you have to be willing to be alone. That's the first thing. You have to be willing to be by yourself, because when you're by yourself, that's when you truly know who you are and where it is you're supposed to be going. Now, it's not going to be easy, because in those transitions, I start to see things about myself and they will see things about themselves that they didn't realize was there, but that's okay, because it's a part of the process. It's what elevates the mind. It's what help you become not who you are supposed to be, but who you already are, who you didn't know
Mhm.
that you were. And so during that transition, the more you accept where you are and don't worry about tomorrow and where tomorrow is, and just allow the process, just allow stuff to be, you will become. And it's not going to be easy, but it's doable, because I've done it and people before me has done it. And it's going to be people after me who's going to do it. So you just have to stay focused and allow the process.
Now, when you stay focused and allow the process, and you keep this positivity up, and you keep it going, how do you own that new destination that welcomes you, that rewards you? And how do you stay in that new destination and keep moving forward?
Basically, you just have to be comfortable with who you are and who you know you are. And it doesn't matter what anybody says or anybody thinks. You just have to keep your eyes on yourself and be confident in you. And keep yourself surrounded by like-minded people, because you can't, it's unfortunate, but some people you can't bring with you because they don't understand the new you. You know, some people think that you think once you change, oh, you changed. Sure, I've changed. I've changed into who I'm supposed to be, not who I thought I was or who you thought I was supposed to be, but who I am and who God intended for me to be. So along my journey, I'm constantly meeting new people with new ideas. And every new person I meet, I get more and more excited because I know that there's another opportunity for me to learn something that I didn't know yesterday. And from that person, what they teach me today, there's somebody else to teach me something tomorrow. But I just have to stay on path.
Okay. So staying on path and following and having a direction to follow is very important. And so with stepping into that purpose, there has to be a lot of spiritual growth, spiritual awakening, and spiritual awareness. And so let's talk about the spiritual awakening, the spiritual growth, and the spiritual awareness that a person must have to follow into this purpose and to keep the purpose going on a positive level where you inspire because you need to stay inspired. So we can only inspire people if we stay inspired ourselves. So, with you being inspired and you inspiring others, how important was that spiritual awakening, that spiritual awareness?
It was very important because without me knowing who I am and having a spiritual awakening, how can I tell you how to be? How can I tell you who you are? How can I help you to see who you are if I don't know who I am? So being spiritually awoken and continuously being spiritually awake, it takes work every day, every minute, every second. So I'm always watching inspirational videos, watching spiritual videos, praying to God, asking Him to show me things about me that I might not want to know about me. But I have to know about me and be comfortable with it in order to make you comfortable with knowing about you and being who you are. So I just stay on the path and just constantly pray and constantly ask God to show me who I am and who He made me to be.
Have mercy. Well said, well said, well said. And so for your what allows you to elevate your mind, to elevate your intellectual process, to make you a better creative writer, a better teacher, a better student? And so that creative process, how has mind elevation kind of opened up other doors that you didn't thought was inside of you?
Oh, it definitely opened up a lot of doors. Like I say, first of all, it allowed me to be able to look in me and to pull things outside of myself that I didn't know was in there as far as like creativity. Because if somebody had told me that I would have been creatively writing anything years ago, I would have said, no, not me, because I wasn't in that place yet.
Mm-hmm.
So as I continue to spiritually grow and continue to be around others and be inspired by others who was doing what I was doing, but on a higher platform, I just kept telling myself, if they did it, you can do it better. And you want people, and I wanted people to prosper. I wanted people to do better. And it just gives me great gratitude to just see the next man prosper, even if they're passing me. So if I help you and you're passing me, that means I've done what I needed to do.
Right. Okay, so last but not least, what motivates you and who motivates you? And how do you stay motivated?
Okay. So God motivates me. My grandmother motivates me. And of course, I motivate myself. But what really, really motivates me is when I look around and I look at society today versus what it was when we were growing up, how people were more loving and more kind and considerate. And now today I look out into society and we have a lot of selfishness. And it breaks my heart because of the type of person I am. And I wish that I could control all of it, but I know that I can't. So, what I can control, I control. And what I can influence, I influence. And what I can self improve, I self improve and make others feel worthy.
You know, I just feel like I'm sitting down on the couch with Miss Iron talking about fixing my life. So, and I feel like you're the type of person that we'll see on the TV show, sitting on the couch, you know, talking to not only the very important people, but talking to the people where you meet them where they're at. You know,
Yes.
whether it be a single mother, whether it be a single father. Um, I really think that we're stepping into my purpose. It's the type of regiment and a type of structure that should be known globally.
Yes.
And so, you know, I salute you for that. You know, I definitely, you know, welcome you to the winning circle. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you so much.
Because you,
Thank
because
you so
because
much.
you, because you definitely winning. So, for those who want to say, if somebody want to have a sit down with you and they was going through and they just did some research on you, studying and you know and living, they trying to live into their purpose. What type of conversation would this be?
First, it would be a welcoming conversation because I like to know everyone know that they're welcome. I'm very approachable, very approachable. So I always want everyone to have first the comfort level of knowing that I'm approachable and being able to come to me and just express what they're feeling or what they have felt and know that that space is safe and it's confidential and it's between me and them and that we will grow and we will know and will become together.
And see the thing is, what people don't know about you, and for me doing this interview with you and me studying you, um, God had this structure for you when you was a youngin. You
Mhm.
know, you was you was at the age of 16 years old and had more, and you had structure like you already had been in on earth for 50 years. You
Yes.
know what I mean? And so for me not knowing you and for me being able to see that, that says a lot. You know, and so and the youth do need you. And so what do you feel like the things that you overcame, the things that you accomplished, and with you being a creative writer and having an ebook out, what is the structure that you would give the youth? And why would you give them this structure? Because the youth is different nowadays.
Mhm.
And so trying to structuralize the youth, when you give them a structure, it gotta be where you can meet them at where they're at.
Mhm.
Because mentally they may not be there. Mentally, you know, they may feel like no, don't nobody love them. They feel they may feel like I've been bullied practically my whole life and nobody cares. And so is the structure different when you're talking to the youth?
Yes, because like you said, you have to go down to their level, meet them where they are. Some of them might not have parents in their life like I didn't. Some of them might have like mental situations, anxiety and depression. But what makes it great, once again, is my nursing experience. So that taught me and my life experiences how to go down and meet them where they are and make them feel comfortable and make them open up and to know and feel safe. And it allows me to structure then to see where they need to go and how I need to help them get there. So it's different for each individual. It just depends on what they're coming with.
Okay. Well said. Well said. So I want you to let everybody know how they can get in contact with you. Let them know where they can purchase the ebook at, and let them know what you got coming in 2023.
All right. If you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me through my publicist, Desiree L. Benson. I have a webpage you can visit at www.thekimwilson.com. If you go to the webpage, click on the link at the top, hit the link that says Acts, download the ebook, and it's there for purchase for, I think, $99. Also, you can follow me on Facebook, Step Into Purpose. That's the word step, the letter N, the number 2, purpose, and Instagram at Step Into Purpose.
All right, you heard it first on the Chatterbox with King Jacob. It's been a star-studded episode with the Honorable Kim Wilson. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful that I have her on. And shout out to my girl Desiree. I really appreciate you. Salute to you, Queen, for all that you do. And I just want to thank you for tuning in. This is the last episode of the year. And I ended with the Honorable Kim Wilson. And I want to say thank you once again for supporting me. And thank you once again for supporting her. And keep up with her. Follow her, contact her publicist, because she have a lot more endeavors coming up in 2023. And until then, I want to say good night. Peace, love, and blessings. Stay encouraged. Happy New Year.
Good night. Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
You're welcome. Take care. Be blessed. Stay encouraged.
See you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.